1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. I don't know if anybody can hear me. I'm just trying out. I was trying to start earlier today, but my main program just died on me, so I had to get back to the company tomorrow and see what's going on. In the company I have Wondershare Fillmore for some reason broke down, so I'm using an old program, um, Bandicam, to do the recording right now, the screen and everything. I wanted to share something with you today because today is officially Father's Day in the Spanish world, the 17th of June, and then it will be Father's Day on the 21st, this Sunday. All right, so I thought I'd share a little bit with you because on Sunday I wanted to do something for Father's Day. I honor some fathers. Those who have acted like a father to this group, you provided a lot of input. You spent some time, putting little memes in here, your little comments, and sharing your humor with us. And we had a good time with all of you guys. I appreciate all of you guys that put a lot of input in here. And so it's just made this group a lot of fun, and it's good to have you in this group. And like I'm saying, this is an improvised moment. I was supposed to start about an hour ago, but I've been having problems with my. Uh, I'm hoping everybody can hear me. I don't know if anybody can see me or hear me, but sounds okay on my end. It sounds like the sound is okay and everything. But like I was saying, I wanted to share some time with you. Appreciate those of you that have been contributing to the COVID-19 group, and setting up things, sharing, memes and sharing jokes and sharing your little findings that you find there. I think it's been very informative. I think I've learned a lot from the stuff you shared, and I hope you learn a little bit from the stuff I shared. So it's kind of nice to be doing this together, as a group. And I think we have 113 people in the group now. They put a screen here of first I want to be able to read to you guys. Yeah, this verse here. Put it this way. All right. So I figure I will share something in regards to what's been going on. At the like I said, I shared something on Sunday, but I did it. I recorded it, and then it took me such a long time to finish. I finished really late at night, and ended up being posting until Monday. But it was supposed to be for Sunday. So today I was supposed to start about an hour and a half ago, and I've been struggling with this program that I have. They just die on me all of a sudden. But in any case, I wanted to just share something and something that's been helpful for me, in my walk, in my journey in this creation, in which we are all residing, and we are happy to be sharing at this moment. And what I wanted to share with you is what I call the concept of the barium. Okay, I'm using a word that is brand new to some of you, but the reason why I like to use words that you're not familiar with, so I can explain them to you and you get to see my point of view. A lot of other people already, if I use words that are familiar to you, you might think, oh, I already know what he's talking about. And you might know what I want to be talking about, but since I'm using a term that is not familiar to you, you might tend to pay a little bit more attention. But what I'm talking about, let me get the verse that I'm gonna be quoting first here. Yeah, from these lessons. All right, let me use this part here to teach from this point here. Yeah. So what I'm gonna be talking about the word the barium, from the word the bar. As I explained before, if you heard me, the word the bar in Hebrew, it means word. It's a word in Hebrew is the bar, which I have three made composed out of three letters. Let me put the alphabet here. I'll tell you which ones they're composed of. So the Hebrew alphabet here will tell you that the bar In Hebrew, only the consonants go. There's no vowels. The original Hebrew is just a consonant, so it's made of three consonants. The bar, it's made out of the dalet. This one, number 4 here, all the way on the top, dalet, and that stands for a door, entrance, or to move in. But a door or an entrance is also a gate. So dalet is also a gate, and gate in the scriptures is a picture of administration or governance. All right, and then is the Beth. This letter here, Beth, is it's like a floor plan, like in a schematic. But number 2 is Beth is the second word here, and it stands for a house or a family. You know, it's a house that's well supplied, like a warehouse, or a floor plan, schematics, all of that. Remember that in the Hebrew, we're talking with the Creator. He's interested in how things function. So the alphabet was given with pictures, you know, the original ones. And so you need to know the function of those things so you can put them together and make a sentence. And so the interesting thing is that you put the consonants together, it gives you the definition right then and there what this word is about. Okay? And then the last word is resh. Is this R here? 200. The number, numeric value, 200. Resh is for the R sound. Resh. So it's Daleth, Beth, Resh. And that makes the word the bar. And so it's a door or a gate, and that's for governance or administration. And the house, all right, house is, and then the resh is for the head. It's priority. It was on top, the ruler, you know, the authority first, the heading. Well, that's why it's a picture of a head, because it's what's foremost, what stands the most is the function of being prioritized, or being first, being authority, being on top of things. Okay, so that's resh. And so when you put the words together, Daleth, Beth, and resh is the door and the house and the rule. So the door is for the gate, okay? So the gate is for the administration or government. The administration of the house of rules or systems. Systems contains rules. So the best word that you can think, you have to look for the best word in English that will interpret what the word is trying to mean. When God gives a word, what is He giving? He's giving the administration of the eco, because in English the word eco, it stands for house, and nomos stands for laws. Economy is the combination of a house and rules. Economy. So you put a door in the administration of the economy. Administration of the economy, that's what the word the bar means in Hebrew. So when God gives something, the word that He gave, it was to treat you the administration of His ecosystem. He created an ecosystem, okay? While creating everything that He made is an ecosystem, and there's ecosystem in between the different systems. And so everything works together, independent one another, but working together, they made an amazing creation. So He teaches you the administration of the ecosystem or the economy. That's encapsulates the word, the bar, okay, in Hebrew. And that's what we all, in English, we all have the bar. In Spanish, we have palabra. But that's the meaning of the word the bar, okay? And it stands for that, that's the whole, so you have to use all those words. The administration of the economy. Because eco stands for two words, eco, house, or environment, right, house. And nomos is laws or rules. So the administration of the economy. And so we were made to carry words, in other words. So we have, when we get into this world here, we know we need air, we need water, we need the solid foods. But what we need the most in order to run everything is words. And that's what we get more than air and more than everything is words, because words are constantly in our minds. We're constantly using words for everything, to think, to remember things, to talk to one another, to describe things, to know our names. So the words are more predominant in us than air it is. We breathe in and breathe out, but while we're breathing in and out, we can be thinking of 1,000 things if your mind is rushing, So words are just constantly within us. So it is for the administration what we constantly have running with us that we were made. All right, so now in English, dabar is for a single word, and dabarim is for the plural, words. Dabarim. Most of the plural words in Hebrew end with the M. And that's the word mem here. Mem stands for water, chaos, or blood. And I like to think of water as also something that is liquid. So solution, a solution is liquid, but also solves something. Because remember, God is into the functioning of things. So I always like to think of water as a solution. It's a solution in which we are placed when we are born. Is the water that breaks from the mother. That the worlds were created out of the Spirit hovered upon the waters, upon all the solutions, and out of the waters everything came out of the solution. So we come out of the waters, into this world that is inhabited by many waters, and these waters going up to the clouds and forming the clouds. And what we're developing water all over the place. And then if you look at the Bible description, there's waters above the firmament. And the firmament was created to make a separation between the waters above and the waters below. So we are surrounded with water and water solutions. And most scientists will tell you that water is, in anywhere in the universe, is a sign of life, okay? And so the way the world tries to give you a different picture than what the Bible is telling you, because since you are mostly made of words, what ends up happening is that if you do not acquire the right picture in your mind, all right, it affects you completely, because you're not only this person that is made out of flesh and bones, okay, that's part of who you are physically, but you're actually a soul, and the soul is fluid, okay? The soul doesn't have the shape of your body, really. Your soul can identifies by the language that trains it, okay? So that's why I like you to think of the soul as a dabarium, okay? Like an aquarium, like it's an environment in which there's fishes, there's sand, there's algae, there's all kinds of stuff that's going on in an aquarium. It's an whole ecosystem, there for the fishes. And also there are terrariums, ecosystems for different plants and stuff like that. And so that's how I want you to think of your soul, because whatever your soul learned from any language or specialties, that's what it becomes. If you go to engineering school, then you become an engineer. So you're not only this flesh and bone, but you're also familiar with all the things that deal with engineering. And so your mind has stretched out into the world, and everything that has to do with engineering, you keep an eye on it. You have a way of attaching yourself. Your soul is attached to it because of the language that has trained it. So your soul is fluid in that sense. All right? So there's a vivarium in you. There's an economy that describes exactly whatever you specialize in. So whether you be a computer or IT technician, the language that is involved. You might have to learn C language or whatever language, JavaScript or anything. You're familiar with the programming. That is where your soul is attached to these things. And so you develop a certain, affinity for the things that you are trained. So everything that your soul is trained and specialized to be, it identifies with that as well. And that's why your soul becomes the dabarium, the words that it specializes in. And that's when you specialize in a wholesome word. Let me see, you become a mechanic, you learn everything about cars. Being a mechanic is the area of your dabarium, your soul, is where all those words, inherit the barium, and you are ready to take care of all cars because you know the whole complete ecosystem rules, if you please, the household rules to take care of all the cars. So that's what I want you to think. And so the idea is to determine, how strong is your dabarium, and by that I mean how strong is your soul. What is the understanding and the language and the training that it has received that makes it be strong no matter what the circumstances are? Okay, so that's what I want you to examine today, because that's what we're going to be looking at and talking about more often. Because if your dabarium, the language that you have acquired to connect you to this world, is not as strong as what the scripture wants you to have, what's happening today is going to really, do a number upon your soul. Because most people, the dabarium, the specialty of words that you have received and the training that you receive in this world has to do with taking care of the products and services that are found in this, what I call retarded garden. And what I mean by the retarded garden is in opposed to the resilient garden. Our Creator made a resilient garden. That's the original organic world of plants and insects and everything that can duplicate and take care of itself. And this resilient garden, is self-replicating and self-generating. It does not need us to do anything for them. It just works. The plants, propagate and they reproduce and replicate themselves. The seeds fall on the ground and they keep on doing that. And we don't have to go work for the apple tree to make an apple. We don't have to go work for the papaya tree to make papayas. All they do it by themselves. So this is a resilient garden. But when man creates an industry, the economies that man made, they walked away from the original resilient garden. So he builds man-made plants, to create his products and services in that main man. So he's got to build it from the ground up, and then he has to acquiesce to the regulations to make buildings and all of that to be up to code. So there's more than 613 because that's all the Torah gives you. So it's more than 613 regulations just to create a building and to run it right according to the city codes and all the specifications, the piping and everything. So you have to build and making the plant, and then you have to put manpower and man labor in there to make the products. So all the companies, all the man-made plants are retarded in that sense because all of them are not self-replicating by a seed like it was the original resilient garden. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So in this economy, the retarded economy, the economy of lack, in which things have to be duplicated just by your effort, by manpower, because they cannot do it themselves, because we chose to think that we're going to be advanced by doing those things. In this economy, you have found that as it is nowadays, that everything that you've learned, whether you were a mechanic, whether you be a TV technician, whether you be a computer operator, whatever you are, or a bank teller, or anything that you find out that whatever skills you have that you train yourself to do, all of a sudden they could come to a sudden halt. They could stop and you don't know what happens. Because like I say, in the retarded garden, you are the one making it work. So at some moment, those that have the rule over you, whom you have chosen to guide you, they can overpower. They can forget that they're your public servants. Remember, you hire them and they're supposed to be your public servants. All governments call themselves public servants, but they start acting like they are the ones ruling everything there. Then it's time to train him the right way. Put him in the right place again. You're the public servant. I am your master. I chose you to take care of this, and that's how the attitude you need to get. So because all these people right now, all the governments, it's gone to their head that there's something more than public servants. But that's all they are. So they need to be retrained again. And you need to get the right attitude to look at their face and tell them that that's what they are. Okay? And if you have public servants, I don't mean to get rid of them, but you have to train them the right way. Put them in their place. Tell them what they're supposed to be. Give them the right training. Because a lot of stuff have been forgotten and people are just walking all over the place. There's a nibble that I've seen under the sun, it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, they are foolish, are placed in high position, and princes walk the earth like poor people, And that has to do because people forget the order of things, all right? So in any case, that's what I'm going to be looking at, examining your soul as the Davarium that was made to be, filled with an understanding of how to run a certain ecosystem, whatever career that you have chosen. Some of you are doctors, some of you are lawyers, so some of you are into the computer field, some of you are mechanics, whatever it is, but you have discovered that in this economy of the retarded garden, things could come to a sudden halt, like it has happened right now. And all nations of the world are happening. Wonder what's going to happen to my future. Am I going to continue to have my career? My company is still going to exist? And all these questions are going over your head because the barium that your soul had become was filled with all these dabars, all these dabarim, all these words of an specialty for a garden that is retarded. And therefore you can see that you're suffering now. So I can see the people that are attached to this retarded garden, how you can be suffering because, like I say, you're not only aware of this body, but you're aware of the economy and the industry that you have the specialty in it. And if that industry is suffering and it has no future, then therefore you're shaking like this, wondering, oh my God, what's going on, man? And you're depressed because you don't know what the future holds. Your heart can fade at any moment. You're on a constant stress because you see the funds running out and what's going to become of me. All right. All of that happens because of the barium that we have become. Our soul has become a devarium, a scale model of a little thing that we run in this society, and we see that that's going away because whatever language you learn, you identify with. You could learn to be an engineer. You're engineering. You identify as an engineer, and therefore, when anything that has to do with engineering is being torn apart and being taken away as being whole, then you suffer. because that's your livelihood. That's what your life depends on. Okay, and so whatever you learn, your specialty, that's what your life comes. You make a living out of it. So if the source of making a living is going to be stripped from you, no wonder the whole world is stressed out as it is. You see, and so the whole idea is to get into the original, the varium that you're supposed to be. And that's what I go here to the scriptures here. Let me see if I can put this one here. I think I'm still working on this. All right. Let me see if I can. Let me change screen here. See if I can go to this one, and see if I can see myself here. I'm gonna go to the COVID-19. Yeah. See if this is coming out and broadcasting live. All right. Let me see. It's not working here. I'm gonna put it here. See what happens. Web page is slowing down. Okay, stop it. All right, let's see. I want to see if I'm coming out live or not, but it's not letting me go to my page here. All right. All right, it's not letting me do anything. Clicking. All right, so about that. Let me go back to live and see what's going on in here. All right, I hope you're listening. I hope you're hearing me. But in any case, I'm sharing this. Perhaps you're going to have more time, tomorrow to listen to what I'm saying. But that's the whole idea I'm trying to share with you. Different ways of checking your soul as the barium that was supposed to make. So you were supposed to make to be this the barium. Now, I'm going to show you pictures right now of different things that go along with what I'm trying to say here. All right. Yeah, I downloaded these pictures here. Let me show you. Okay, these are the variums, I call them, or scale model of things that people want to make. They make a scale model. Every creator makes a scale model and present it to the investors and present it to the idea of what they want to see in this world, right? So they make a little scale model, and that's what becomes similar to what I'm trying to refer. So, and then they become the specialist. They have their specialty in that whatever economy or whatever service or product they want to render. So these are examples of different, for example, this one is somebody is creating a whole, see people there, they're creating a whole apartment complex with parks and everything, and they do a scale model. This is an idea of how your soul becomes at the varium. It takes all the words and puts them in the right order. So he knows how the knowledge is how to keep this done. You identify with every building, you identify with every corner in that area, with how the measurements and all that. So your soul is attached to all these things because you are the barium. All the knowledge is inside of you, and you're projecting it out in this scale to show it to your investors, but also you're going to put it in the world out there of the retarded garden to make it happen. Okay, and using manpower, of course. And there's some more like that. So I'll just put different examples of the bariums. Okay, this is another one. You see people there making their scale models of these things to present to their investors. And all these people that are involved in it, it's just like the people that create movie sets, like for example, the people that did Avatar. That was quite the varium, for many different things in there, because they had to create a whole world in there for Avatar. Millions of dollars went into that movie, and but in any case, everybody that is a producer or maker, their soul becomes at the varium. That means once you have all the idea encapsulated inside of you, then you render a model scale like this, and you're pretty much aware and attached to everything that you want there to be, because you already thought it through and it's inside of you, and now you're just projecting it out here. So these are different pictures of how the soul is at the varium for different things. That's why the soul is fluid, because whatever language it identifies with or is trained to have, that's what it attaches to itself in this world. And that's why it's important, see, that you get the right frame of mind to be attached to in your mind. Because if you have something that in your mind cannot be destroyed because you know it to be true, you know it to be so, then you are not going to be, all scared by the circumstances that come upon this world, because you know that, the barium that you've learned cannot be touched by it. So that's the thing that I have. I have acquired the barium. My soul has become a barium in an area of knowledge that is not affected by the circumstances that are happening on this world right now. That's why you see me laughing and maybe just think that I'm joking too much, but to me, this whole thing is a real big joke because I'm looking at a retarded garden because we forsook the resilient garden, The insects still enjoying it. The birds are still enjoying it and chirping and singing every day, you know. Um, the fishes of the sea are still enjoying it. The trees of the forest are still enjoying it. That economy has not faltered, has not changed, and I'm still enjoying it because I am in that economy, the original one. All right, I know that economy and I know it well, and I'm in full enjoyment of it day by day. And so when I come down to this retarded garden and I see what's going on, it doesn't. For a while, I had to stop and think. Well, I had to put my place. I forgot, that a long time ago I used to be guided by this retarded garden ideology, and I used to think a lot of it that was very important. But I just enjoying my existence in this earth as it is. Like I told you, I'm just here as a permanent resident of my own choice. I know everything has to do with becoming a citizenship, a citizen because I work for the immigration office as translator. So I had to give the test. So I had to learn the test. We had to give it in Spanish to the people that were becoming citizens. So I know all of that. But I chose to remain a permanent resident because I know where I stand and I know my dabarim, okay, the words that keep me in the dabarium that was originally made for, which is given through Moses, the first 5 books of the Bible. That's my dabarim. That's where I abide all the time. And because I'm there all the time, I'm connecting the whole world and seeing what's going on. And so everything for me is just being taken care of, okay? Uh, like I said, the jobs that I'm working, all the jobs that I work, I've practically never looked for those jobs. People thought of me that I could do that, and they found them for me and told me to go there, and I ended up getting it. Even the job that I'm doing right now, I did not look for this job. Somebody thought that I would be good because I was translator, and they thought, and I went and I got this job, and I'm still doing it since 2008. And I got it in 2008. That was my second job in 2008. I was throwing papers early in the morning, and then I got this as a second job. So I had 2 jobs when the economy also was going down. That's when I got this job. I had 2 jobs. In 2008, everybody was losing their retirement. The retarded garden already acted up once again, and the people were losing everything. Their 401k, everybody was losing everything. But I was thriving with 2 jobs. Okay, and now this job, just this last few weeks, all the 66 hours, because they give overtime here in this job that I do. Your 40 hours, and on top of that, you can get 26 hours of overtime every week. So they just started last week doing that. Okay, because we take care of all the people that had to get their unemployment with Bank of America. We have to deal with those calls. So there's a lot of those calls coming in, and since a lot of people are in unemployment, then there's a lot of work for us. So we're getting that. So we're getting the 26 hours overtime on top of the 40. It just started this last week, and it's gonna go on for who knows for how long. But you see, the work is there. So I don't have to worry about that because I have plenty of work to do. So I don't even worry about those things. All the time I'm just connecting the word of the maker with everything that's happening, and he's in perfect control of everything. And that's the joy that I had for a long time already. I've been, into the scriptures it's going to be 41 years this year, and it's just been more growth and more growth. For the last 5 years, I have practically been just on the Hebrew language now, and understanding from the Hebrew and the Hebrew letters is such a delight. It's just the best. That's to me the best paradise for my soul, because I'm constantly in constant joy because of all the understanding that I'm getting, and but at the same time I wanted to share this with you. So the thing is to examine your soul as a barium. What kind of a system of things you're acquainted with. So these are the different pictures of model scales of different things that people make, and they make scales of it, like this, like that. Here you see somebody made a whole place in here. It looks like a paradise type of thing, with apartment complex. So people like to make those things, and whoever those architects that become, they are the barium of that. They are the ones that hold that knowledge and train the people to make those things and bring it out in the dust, out of the dust. And so you'll see different plans here, that people make to create their ideas of what they want to do. Even little scale like this, for something that people make. So I was putting there, and then I like the idea of encapsulated thing, because in the Bible, everything seems to be like encapsulated. If you read the scripture, it's not like the way NASA narrates it. You know, in the scripture, there's everything is like it's encapsulated. It's like a baby in the womb. The way the baby is in the womb, surrounded with water. That's how this whole creation is, surrounded with water. We are in the womb. God made us and He put us in a womb. Okay, and that's how is the picture in the scriptures. So it's like water and care of water all around us. You know, not just the way that you are born, surrounded with all of that, to supply everything you need in a perfect environment for 9 months. You know, and that thing is supplying everything for you. You know, and so we have different scales here, like I'm saying, going different down the line. You know, different things that people make for businesses and products that they're going to run. They always make a model scale, you know, and they themselves, their soul becomes a Dabarium. Okay? They become a Dabarium because they attach themselves to that. All right, now let me see. So there's another one here. Let me see, there's more. See all the model scales of things. So for this, it takes all kinds of people. So in the end, you know, the world is run by different variums that people have acquired, you know, different specialties of languages and training that they have received, and so they're good at whatever different things they are. And so, but it's very taxing in the sense that it's very demanding in the retarded garden, because like I say, in the retarded garden, you have to do everything for the plant, man-made plants, and manufacturing companies. They depend on manpower for everything to be done. So, you know, all these things, they look fabulous, but you know, it's a lot of manpower to keep it running. And that's what people are not, they can't even learn the 10 Commandments because they're too busy learning how to run their businesses, learning how to keep up to code with the buildings codes and all of that, all the regulations. And so they're just too busy, you know. So in a way, I'm very grateful with my maker in that he just gave me a job as a translator. So I already just know I'm just a parrot. I just repeat what everybody says in another language, and that's my job. I get paid for that. I get paid for being a parrot. And so what an easy job, you know. That allows me to think in between, and that's what I love. One thing I love the most is to be thinking all the time. You know, free of thinking. I'm not the kind of guy that likes to be listening to music, but I understand why people do that. Because when a world is out of order and they cannot control it, at least they like music, because music presents that beat and that rhythm that keeps a sense of order, and they're familiar with the words. And so people that have, a lot of people are listening to a lot of music right now because that's the only place where they can get a little order from a world that is full of chaos around them. They can't keep the beat with what is going out outside, and so they got to be on their headphones or earplug listening to some music that has some sort of order to have experience some peace. So I can see why people got into music, but I make my own music. You know, and to me, it's a waste of time to listen to any music. I only listen to a song if somebody wants to learn it in the guitar and ask me that they want to learn it in the guitar. Then I force myself to listen to a song so I can play it on the guitar and teach it to that person. But other than that, on my own time, I don't listen to music at all. I'm making my own songs because I'm always singing anyhow, humming things in my head, coming up with new songs. Every day I make about 3 or 4 songs of my own for whatever things I'm thinking, things that help me memorize things too. So all of that is for that purpose, you know, because to me, everything that I know from looking at the creation of the Maker from the point of view of the Torah, it makes so perfect sense. And I'm just there all the time. That's where my soul, that's my soul's, that's where my soul, my soul is at the barium for that, you know, and that's what I enjoy. Okay, now we're getting here into enclosed systems. Okay, now this is a system in a jar. This is like they call them the terrarium scenes. Okay, where people like to, you know, buy this as ornaments, stuff like that, you know, where you see the whole environment. Here's an ecosystem right here with horses, some land in the bottom, some greenery, and some cascades, you know, and then opening in the top. So we'll see a few of these here, you know, the different examples. Okay, but these are all enclosed systems, you know, that people like to dream of having or making, you know, or at least to have as an ornament in their tables. But a lot of them wish to have an environment like this, you know, and they make something like that as a reminder of what they're going to be doing. You see, this whole thing is enclosed here, and so there's different ones there. There are some scenes that was kind of interesting, and there's another one here, a lady sitting in a garden there, you know, and So the different ones here, and you know, and but basically is in the narration of the scriptures, because we have the Genesis, which means the beginnings, the Exodus, which in Hebrew means the Shemot, which is the book of names. Once you make a product, you have to think of a name or a brand name, right? And Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Vayikra, which is the call. You got to put the calling, the classified ad to call the experts, because Leviticus are the joiners, are the people the technicians that handle the word. Once you have the beginning of a product and the naming of the product, you have to train the technicians, and those are the Levites, okay, the joiners. Okay, they have received the calling, to do the job. You send the classified, but the classified to put a calling to do the job. So that's your call or your vocation. And then comes in the wilderness, the Midbar, which is the book of Numbers. And that's what you have when you go to a work in any environment that you're working. That place is a wilderness to you, because it doesn't supply you any of the things you really need for the care of your body. You put all your efforts, you put your manpower in there, wherever you work, to create the product or service that there. And once you get paid from them, you go out of there, and then you get your food, you get your clothing, you get your house and everything. But while you're in there, you're in the desert. You cannot take anything for yourself there. Okay? You're just in the desert. That's why the wilderness, That's what Midbar in the wilderness. But also the book of Numbers, Once you have a product, when you made something, the Genesis, you send it out in the market, which is an Exodus, and you prepare the technicians with the Levites. You have Numbers, which is to keep an inventory, okay? So all of that adds up. And then at the end, what do you inherit? If you're going to be working for a company, if you're going to be the owner and the producer of the product and service, what you inherit are all those things in the form of words. You inherit the words. That's the book of Hadabarim, the book of Deuteronomy. Or means in Hebrew means the words or the things. And I call it everything, because everything, that's all you're going to be needed. All the books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, there are 304,805 characters of the Hebrew alphabet. The sequence of that. 304,805 characters. And thus all the things, all the words that you need to know, all the letters in the right order that you need to know, that's everything that was given to you and I, in order to express how we are to behave in this world, how we are to relate to the plants, relate to the animals, relate to everything, relate to each other, and so that the character of our Maker, the character of completeness, of not being in this world to get anything from it, but to nurture it and to nourish it, so that we were made and placed in a garden that was completely made. So we will be garden dispensers. We will propagate what was here already. We were born inheriting everything, because the Maker had made everything, and we had made everything. He put us there on the sixth day when everything was made, and he told us just to keep it going. Be fruitful, multiply, and replenish, the FMR. The celebration of completeness. Everything is there, now just propagate it and expand on it. I give you everything to make it just blow out into all the greenery, all the beautiful things that I can just make it expand, especially my character. So you can start it with everything to be a garden dispenser of that garden, just keep more of that garden propagating everywhere you went. Your character was going to be the garden of completeness. As everything, and there's 300,000 edible plants. This guy, John Warren, wrote this book, The Nature of Crops, and he writes that there's 400,000 plants, and 300,000 of them are edible plants. So imagine that, corresponding with each letter. All that we needed to the plants, because I call those, each letter is like a tree to me. In the right sequence, is the food that our soul needs. Because our soul gets knowledge and understanding, and with that it becomes a vivarium, an environment in which something is going to be taken care of, whether it be the character. If you're into being a star, you take care of presenting personalities for the movie industry. You're the vivarium of different characters. You know your scripts for different things. But for everything, you become a devarium, something in which the maker could look at it, wants to make sure that you have it all inside so you can project it the right way. So you are the devarium that projects that knowledge onto the world. And so that's the nice thing about being in that, receiving the dabarim, the words, and you become the devarium because you contain those words in a certain order to make you act a certain way and to be attached to certain things that you're going to do in this world. All right? So that's how you have to look at it, okay? And so the interesting thing is this. Let me get to. So there are different ones here, like I've been showing you. But let me get you to the one. These are pictures of what people like to do. Brings them tranquility and peace. It's just very inspiring. And so these are different terrariums. On this one, I thought it was kind of nice. It looks like something for birds to go in there. And but then we come to this. Okay. Oh, let me see. All right. All right. Let me see if I can get this one. Then I didn't put it in here. I forgot to put it in here. All right. What? Message just left for me. That's nice. Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear me. It says that I'm still going. Say something here. Sorry, we're having trouble playing this video. Oh wow. I hope no problem here. Let me see. Oh, I'm here. I'm okay. Oh, I can see something here. That's it. Oh, okay. I see some people are here. Amen. Amen. All right. All right. Okay. I see Barefoot in here. I see. All right. All right. Okay. So I guess you guys can hear me. That's very good. I'm glad you guys can hear me. Yeah. So what I'm saying, I'm sharing this today, so I can give you all this information, so to encourage you to have a strong soul, And let me see if I can get you a little bit of the volume idea that I was trying to explain. I'm gonna see if I can see it here. Some email. No, I took it out of it. Okay. I put it, I think, on the screen here. Let me get out to the screen if I can find it for you. Let me put this out. I want to go out to the black screen for a second. Just let me put this out so I can share with you the last things I was trying to show you here. From the point of view, let me put I put my things in here, show icons. Okay, here we go. And oh yeah, this is what I wanted to share. From the point of view of scriptures, okay, we have here this. All right. The waters above. Okay, in the scriptures, if you read Genesis, this is a picture of, because by the time Genesis was given and then he got to the book of Deuteronomy, all of these people have been in the wilderness for 40 years because the book of Deuteronomy was recited as the last thing, and it was the summary of everything, and Moses is the one that dictated that one. And so he was giving the words, he was giving you everything. So he was telling the people of Israel were going to start with everything. It's just like when you come into this world, people almost at this time in this world, I am a nobody, but I'm going to become somebody. I am nothing, but I'm going to become something. The fact is that if you are nothing to begin with, you're only going to allow everything else to become nothing. Because if you don't have any knowledge of how to take everything, you're just going to use and abuse something and it becomes nothing. So you only expand upon whatever you have. If you have just the word of a product without the fullness of the meaning, you only use and abuse the product, and therefore the product becomes nothing. You expand on your nothingness. But if you begin with everything because you have the knowledge of a product, then that everything keeps on expanding. That's what you need to understand. So your soul is a dabarium, that will keep a system going if the full knowledge and order of words are in it. And so in here, you see how creation was made. There's waters above, and the firmament is this little thing over here. All right, is this little thing over here that goes across, and this in Hebrew is rakia, or the head of the observation. It has the resh and the kuf. It means from sundown, from sunrise to sundown. The viewpoint, the top from right it says to view because it starts with the finish with the eye. So let me show you what I'm saying about rakia, which is the firmament. Okay, the firmament in the Hebrew letters is made of these three letters: resh, which is the head or the top, the height. Okay, and kuf is this letter here. Kuf is the sun. It is the sun here behind the horizon means from dusk to dawn. Okay, so it's the high observation from dusk to dawn to and then with ayin. So it's rakia. So it's raki ayin. So it's the highest observation from dusk to dawn of observation. So it's a place of observation where God watches everything, from above. Okay, but it's also very strong. So in the Bible, there's this idea, in the original scriptures, you find that the moon and the sun were made on the fourth day. Light came on the first day, but the sun and the moon were made on the fourth day. So, figure that out. That's how it's given there. Now, NASA and all these science nowadays will have you think on something else altogether because they want you to get you away from the original picture. But what he's trying to give you in there, okay, let me get down to this one. Okay, all right, so rakia, the firmament, as I was saying, so the firmament is this place, and it's like that's why it's blue, it reflects the water and everything, but it's very strong because it separates the waters from above from the waters below. Because the waters are not only the sea. You understand that in the air that we breathe, there's water in it. It's vaporizing, it's lifting up, but it's water because there are machines right now that collect by way of condensation. They collect the water. There's water machines that, collect water out of the thin air, because there's water everywhere. Why do you think it goes and becomes the clouds and all of that? So water is found everywhere. So it's very light water here, and there's some more heavy water below us, and so on. But the water is everywhere. Our bodies, are 70 or 80% water. Our brain is 90% water. So we are surrounded with water. So if you don't realize that, you're not going to drink enough water, and your whole body is going to be dehydrated, and you're going to be sick, full of arthritis and full of sickness. Most people, do not forget that they're mostly water, and even if you drink 8 glasses of water a day, that's not enough. You need to drink the same amount of water that your body. If your body is 70% water, then 70% of your weight, that's the way you should drink in water. A lot of people recommend half of your body weight in ounces, but I just go by 70%. Drink as much water as you can. Not only your skin is going to be very smooth all the time, the wrinkles are going to be going away, but you're hardly going to have any pain whatsoever. I'm going to be 61 this year in December, and I don't have pains. I know people my age, they're 60s, and they have all kinds of pains. They have to be on pain medication for this and that. I only need to sleep about 3 to 4 hours a day because my body is just full of energy. Because all this bunch of water is just running in my body all the time. So if you remember that you're mostly water, you're going to drink a lot of water and get into the habit of drinking a lot of water. And then, when your body is not a desert, it's like a land that is flowing. All your cells are reproducing with no problem. And so there's no illness to be deposited in your body. You got to remember that, for your own sake. So this is how we were. Creation was put in a womb of creation, So the thing is, now the world out there will tell you, the interesting thing about the science of our time, that tells you that the universe is a vacuum out there. There's no waters above. Who knows how the planets with water, But the thing is, you and I and very few have really gone up there. Then again, this is a system that is run by a very few, and most of the people that have to go to become astronauts, they're all Masons, Freemasonry. They have to take a note in the Freemasonry. They only take those kind of people that are dedicated with the Freemasonry to be taken into space. So they have a note of secrecy for whatever plans they have. So only those people, know really what's going on up there. But I go as far as, I go with the scriptures. I don't go with what people tell me, whatever science or what they tell me. Okay, because the whole idea here is, if you ask science, though, if you ask any scientist, what's the number one element that is found all over space and over creation, all over the universe? They'll tell you the hydrogen. Hydrogen is the number one element, or atom, Hydrogen is the number one, okay, element that is found there. And guess what? What the word hydrogen means? Hydra means water, and gen means generation. So water generation, that's the word hydrogen. It means so they're telling you that the number one element in all is water, because that's what the word hydrogen means. Hydra means water, and gen means generation. A water generation. And hydrogen at a certain temperature becomes liquid anyhow. So there's plenty of water, but the way that, because all these people that run our society right now, are Luciferians, as you know already, and they name even the stars by gods. The projects to go to the stars, they name them by gods. Apollo is the name of a god. All these Apollo that went there, Apollo that went there. Oh, they name after a god. Okay, and in Hebrew, Nash, but when you come to the word Nasa or Nashu, is deception or snake. That's what it means in Hebrew. So that should give you an idea of those people that have you looking at the skies while they create subterranean cities to bunker themselves in and use your money for something else. You got to understand, that everybody has an agenda, because if they make you think that the world out there is just some empty space that is sucking your life, and you're just insignificant, then from the very start, if that's your training, then you go to school and you receive that, you're already weak to start with, because for one thing, you didn't have no knowledge of what you were made for, which means to just reflect your maker in the perfect garden of the resilient garden. And then you are in a retarded garden, learning all these things to survive in a retarded garden. And on top of that, you think that the world, if I go out of the world is going to suck me out there. So you think that the world is out to suck your life, because that's the whole mindset to begin with. You begin with a mindset of being defeated. Okay, so these are different scenarios of the ancient world. Let me see. Okay, let me get out of this one. Let me see what other picture. Okay, here we go. And then I have another picture here. Okay, yeah, cosmic geography of ancient Israel. Okay, you can see that also, the firmament. And let me see what else. Does it show anything here? Okay, and this is the ancient Hebrew conception of the universe. Okay, the same thing again. So when you look at the Hebrew, that's the way they look at the world that's the way Moses looked at it, from the way that it was being described. So he has this whole idea that he was placed in an encapsulated environment, in a womb in which God was watching over everything. The heavens above, the waters above, the firmament, just like being in a womb. You have a picture. You are in a womb in a perfect environment, for 40 weeks, and then you're born, and then you are in this world, and after 40 years, the people came out of the wilderness and entered the promised land, after they had received for 40 years. Okay, 40 weeks in a womb for you to be completely fed with all the right nutrients that are found in the waters there. And it took 40 years for the people of Israel in the wilderness to be completely fed with the whole Devarim, all the Deuteronomy, all the words, and all the Torah, so that once they will go and enter, be delivered to go into the promised land, then we'll be able to project the whole character. They will be able to know how to live in there, and the whole economy will take place, because it took 40 years for them to develop that faith and that character, and that soul became a Devarim, to project all that God wanted to reveal himself, or how to relate with one another, you see? And that's what we're talking about. So this whole thing relates like that. But I also like that there are systems in this world, in which you can identify with those things. Let me show you, for example. And by the way, let me stop here to do a little commercial, because I've been so delighted with you guys. Let me see how many people we have here. I wanted to say that in honor of Father's Day, I'm going to be giving out some prizes to some people, some of the guys here that have acted like, you may not necessarily be a father, but you have acted like a father to this page, in the sense that you have provided a lot of input. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to be giving 3 prizes of $50 each for people that have been very helpful to this group. The first one I'm going to mention is Andy Crispin. He has provided a lot of this stuff almost every day. He's just putting a lot of stuff in here, so I really appreciate that, Andy Crispin. So later on, I'm going to be getting in touch with you in a little while, and getting your number so I can, send you this through Zelle, But yeah, man, it's well worth it. I appreciate all your effort. I think you're the one that has been putting the most stuff in here. And I know a lot of you guys have been doing a lot of work on that too, and I appreciate that. This has been a fantastic work. But another one that I'm gonna give for Father's Day, I have this friend of mine that's part also of this group, and his name Mr. the Tim. I would call it Tim Kenoyer. He has a lot of good stuff that he puts, and I loot his place and I write his page and I bring it to this page. So I take a lot of stuff from him and I borrow from him because he's got a lot of good ideas. So I'm also gonna give him the price of $50 for a lot of his contribution that I have used to put in this page as well. So Tim, I'm gonna be getting in touch with you during this time. I don't know if you're watching right now, but these are people that I know who you are. So I'm gonna be getting in touch with you. So Tim Kenoyer is one of the winners for all the stuff all the good stuff. He's always coming up with good stuff. And now we have Andy Crispin, also, the first winner for all the stuff that he has contributed. And let me see here. All right. And then the other one that I see have been doing a lot of contributions also, and I'm grateful for, I believe it's Angel Martinez. So Angel Martinez, you also are going to be getting $50, all right? So this is my way of celebrating Father's Day. I'm doing it today because on Sunday, my kids want to take me someplace. They want me to go out someplace for Father's Day. So I was thinking of doing it on Sunday, but today is also the day for Father's Day in Spanish world. So we're still doing good. And today is the 17th, June 17th. 17 is a numeric number for tub, for functioning. So it's good to celebrate this. So this is the ones I've chosen to share the $50. Andy Crispin, I appreciate all the input that you've been putting, and I appreciate all the work you've been doing. You've been keeping us informed with a lot of stuff. You've been good at that. And Angel Martinez, also, I appreciate the stuff you've been putting, man, and the contributions you've been making. And then again, like I said, Tim Kenoyer, I appreciate all the good ideas that he comes up with. He's got a lot of good ideas that I'd like to share from him. So, but this is something that we're going to be doing. I think every Wednesday, I think I might be able to do it because if all this overtime is coming up, I'm going to be able to afford it. Yeah. So I think every Wednesday, I'm going to do this thing. I'm gonna call this Watch and Win and Learn and Earn. Okay, that's going to be the name of the program. Watch and Win, Learn and Earn. And I'll think of other ways of which to share 3 prizes of $50 each every Wednesday. So it's something that's coming up. But at least this is for this Wednesday, all right? So this is my way of celebrating Father's Day, giving to those that are been very good to this group in providing a lot of input and helping us with those ideas and sharing all those things. I really love you guys. I appreciate everything that you do. And I love all of you guys. I mean, it's really wonderful having you in this group. I saw a lot of people were joining this week. All of you that are new members. I think Chris Bueno Peña, Yarbi, I think, recognize. There's other new people I see there. And, I welcome you to this group. The whole idea is to acquire the right mindset that will make you strong to be able to withstand whatever economy you happen to live in. Okay, so that's what I'm sharing with you. So I'm sharing with you the way that I think that makes me strong and be able to overcome, the things that happen in this world. All right, so let me show you something that I wanted to tell you about this enclosed environment. Okay, look, let me show you something here called the sun in a jar. All right, this is the one I think it is. All right, let me see if I can close this a little bit because, all right. Yeah, okay, good. All right, let's see if I can show you a little bit of this. Let's see if the sound plays.
We are so excited to be here today. So the first time I met Paul, so this was many years ago, I walked in and he said, Karen, I created this sun in a jar. I got this star in a jar. I'm like, you're kidding me. He's like, oh yeah, all that stuff you've learned, put it all in the back of your brain because I'm going to show you something awesome. Well, I'm telling you, this is an amazing invention. You can't buy this. Like, there's no way. But this is just to show off. This is to show off Paul and some of the really neat ways that elements work and that chemistry works. And so we want to just jump in here, and Paul, I'm going to let you take it away because there's no possibility I can explain this. Now, I'm going to hit rewind and watch this video maybe 150 times, I don't know, and then maybe I can say it, but take it away. You're
Sounds
amazing.
great. So what this really is a oversimplification of what Dragon really is. It's combining a yin and yang energy frequency together, and they both attract. They want what each other has. There's value in that exchange. So contrary to what they teach in science, so we talked already about the periodic table is really a periodic table of energy. The universe is actually magnetic and light. It's not gravitational driven. It's such a weak force compared to magnetism. So what this is I'm going to induce an electrical and magnetic field. This outer ball is the male or yang field, and this silver one inside is the yin or female field.
Fascinating.
So just like males and females like to do, they are going to go at it. So with no further ado, I'm going to now put this over in order to help adjust. And we're going to turn on a vacuum pump so that we can mimic outer space. And let's see, I think it's right here.
Now you've created a special generator for this. Is this what you're doing? So you've created specific frequencies, male frequencies and female frequency?
Yep, it's both male and female at the same time.
Wow.
But again, it's not canceling out because I've created space. I've created a neutral distance that they don't cancel out. They're actually, so every system in the universe is an oppositional system. So if you, like electricity for example, if you cut the electricity on one leg, the whole thing collapses. There's no.
So you understand that he has invented something by way of sound. Okay, sound, frequencies, vibrations, you know. He sends a certain frequency to one area, the part from the top, and another frequency to the one in the middle. That's the female, and the one on top is the male. And with this sound, in this vacuum, you're going to see in a little while that he's going to produce light. Okay? So it's not with electricity, but it's with sounds, it's with frequencies, okay? So it's very interesting, you know, and so that's what this experiment is about, but let me have you explain it some more.
System. So you have to have that send and receive, that yin and yang happening. If they come in contact with each other, then they can neutralize and cancel out like a salt or something. But what this is going to do is there's enough design in space that keeps it separate, and so instead of a sun actually being a fusion generator eating its own hydrogen and helium, and over time, you know, it's going to use all of its fuel. The sun is actually being powered by something else. There's something else that's acting on that female field, if you will, that's creating that sun. So what you're going to see in here, as there's enough, the vacuum pump is pumping out the air, then eventually you're going to start seeing a orange dot, which is the male side, and a purple dot on the female side, and they're going to start reacting together, and then a purple plasma is going to start forming around the female field. Then it's going to move inside, and magnetism, not gravity, is going to pull it all together. And that plasma, or the baby of these two, is a sun. So it's in a womb in the female, if you will. So that's what this is. If it was a engine of fusion, then you'd have a super hot core, you know, getting cooler as it moves out. But it's actually the opposite. Its atmosphere is the hottest. Its surface is so cool it's like 6,000 degrees, and then inside is so cool that you can see sunspots. You can actually look into the core, and there is so cool in temperature that's what a sunspot is.
So you're telling me what I've learned in school was not appropriate, was not
right. It's based on a gravitational theory,
and we believe that it is a magnet.
Right, and magnetism is 40,000 times stronger than gravity.
Absolutely. Why is this purple? If it's supposed to be the sun, why is it not yellow? Explain the difference, please.
Yeah, so that basically relates to what kind of plasma is being generated based on the element that's present there. So the sun is yellow because of the hydrogen and helium makeup, whereas this is purple-ish, and it will actually condense into kind of a orange because it's mostly oxygen and nitrogen, because I just sucked out the air we're breathing to make the
Excellent.
vacuum. Yep. So what this is really doing is a male field is sending energy to the female, and that relationship is producing this energy that's now moving into her womb, and magnetism is going to pull it together. So that's why I show this is an overly simplistic demonstration of why with the different dragons there's a male and a female, or yin and yang. And this is just a way to show that, but it's also cool to see a son be born. And so here in probably 5 or so 10 minutes, that will get tighter and tighter and tighter, and it'll be an actual visible sphere. You'll actually see a little core, and it'll even shoot out a beagle jet of pure energy.
So awesome.
A quasar.
So the sun is sending out quasar energy to the Earth,
So yeah,
measured by, what's the term that the sun measures in?
Well, so something's feeding the sun.
Mm-hmm.
The sun then is feeding our moon and our Earth.
Mm-hmm.
All of that. Everything's being fed, and it's a system.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no such thing as immaterial matter, and there's no such thing as non-energized matter, right? Matter is capacitated to receive light and energy. So when the two work together, that's what's happening here with the sun. It's just that this is an example of our red dragon energy to kind of show. So what's happening inside that female is similar to what's happening to our blue dragon water. What's happening on the outside male is what happens to our male blue dragon water.
Excellent.
So different generators doing different things, but we're setting it up in a system. So as long as there's a system, and then that relationship can exchange, and there's value in that exchange, that's how everything works.
So what got you so excited about
Okay, so that's one part, but you see how the enclosed environment, similar to Hati, we're enclosing a womb, he talks about all of that. So he works according to the way God pictures, so because there's nothing new under the sun. We only are able to imitate something if it lines up with what's been made already. We only discover something that already exists, but we have to line it up with that, or it doesn't work. So he's making you see a new way of creating, and this thing, the temperature can be very high. So now I'm going to show you, this is an environment of vacuum. It takes all the oxygen out of it in a womb. Now I'm going to show you how somebody creates a sun inside the water. Now this is more interesting. Inside the water, out of a bubble. Okay? So, because, again, see, people, how can there be light inside the water? Well, there is, because everything is done with frequencies or magnetism. That's an area that is brand new to us. We haven't even tapped, all the stuff that we can get out of there, but it's beginning to, to thrive now. So I'm going to share this other one that has to do with that. Let me see if I can see this here. Okay. I think it's this one over here. Okay, let me enhance this one for a second so I can see what I'm talking about. Thriving. Okay, this one. Okay, sonoluminescence. I like that word. Oh, sorry. Let me get out of here. I don't need that. I don't need that. Sonoluminescence. All right. Okay, sonoluminescence. All right, there we go. Sonoluminescence. All right. Now, this is a person that is punching water so hard, light comes out. That's the process. It took him 5 years, this guy. Finally in September 5th last year, he was sharing this findings with him. It took him 5 years to figure out, how to make a bubble, inside of a container, vibrate and give light. And so we are just in the beginning of things right now. And so you'll find this very interesting, let me see if I can put it from the very beginning. Let me see what it says here.
Single-handedly was the most important thing for making this work.
Okay,
Easy and very difficult. And took me 5 years of messing with it to finally make it work. And to be honest, I think it's some of the finest wizardry we've done on this channel. It involves some of the most interesting physics I've ever worked with, and produces conditions that, over the span of a fraction of a millisecond, range from potentially minus 269 degrees to upwards of 10,000 degrees. So what on earth am I talking about?
10,000
This
degrees.
is a flask of plain, reverse osmosis water. There's nothing else in it. No dye, no other chemicals, nothing. Stuck to the bottom is an ultrasound transducer. Basically a special plate that will vibrate at whatever frequency we drive it at. The more power we put into it, the stronger those vibrations get. We need to drive the transducer at the resonant frequency of the flask. Think of this like how an opera singer breaks a wine glass. If you hit the resonant frequency, it will vibrate in response very strongly, and in the case of a wine glass, eventually explode and break. With everything tuned and the strength of the vibrations perfectly set, we suck up a very small amount of water and let a drop fall back into the flask from an inch or two above. When the drop hits the water, a little bubble is formed and shoots down into the flask. But then something weird happens. Rather than floating back to the surface or popping, it just sits mid-water, suspended by the vibrations. This is the same way that acoustic levitation works in air, but using a bubble underwater instead of a piece of styrofoam. Now all we do is turn up the strength of the vibrations a bit until we hit this sweet spot between trapping the bubble and popping it. Finally, we turn off all of the lights in the room. After a few seconds, as your eyes adjust, if you look where the bubble is, you'll see the damn thing is glowing. It looks as though somebody has plucked a star out of the sky and contained it in the flask. It's really quite beautiful. But of course, our bare caveman eyeball can't compete with a hunk of silicon, so a 2-minute exposure with my DSLR and you can see the glowing bubble clearly as well as the flask. Remember, there's no dye or chemicals making this glow. All of the energy for the glow comes directly from the sound waves we're sending through the flask. This is appropriately called sonoluminescence, or light from sound. In this video, we're going to go through how I did this, as well as why it took so long to make it work, even though the setup itself is actually really straightforward. We're also going to look at how this glow happens, as up until now, 13 different theories have been proposed to explain the glow, and to this day, not everybody agrees. Of those 13, most have been largely disproven, but there...
Well, for the sake of time, you can watch this later on your own, but sonoluminescence, But that's the basic idea, that with sound, you can create light in a vacuum, with frequencies, with sound, and also you can create light inside water, okay? So you will know, even in the depths of the sea with all darkness, you know that the fishes there are luminescence, their skin sheds light. When you are not rise, like we have the sun on us, but when you go in the depths of the sea, there's all kinds of creatures that have their own light. Okay, and so it happens, so this something has to do with vibrations and frequencies. That's another science altogether. And the thing, like the 10,000 degrees, that's close to the surface of the sun. That's the kind of heat there is, you see? So it's very interesting, the science that is coming out. But with a condensed inside of water, inside of all of that, just like this painted in the volume of the scriptures. So everything we can see the scientific. But I want to show you something even more interesting right now that has to do with... let me put it this way here so I make more room. All right. And... okay. Now, a self-sustaining environment, that shows you how this is going to be interesting. I hope you, yeah. A thriving bottle garden. A thriving bottle garden hasn't been watered in over 40 years. So we're going to look at a garden here that in 40 years, it has not been, more than 40 years, it has not been watered, but it's a garden that continues to grow. All right, so this will show you all that is possible. Here, let me put this one on.
David Latimer is one of the world's few proud owners of an entirely self-sustaining bottled garden. Looking at pictures of the lush green bottle, you'd think that growing it involved a lot of hard work. But the truth is that David hasn't even watered it in over 40 years. It's just been sitting under the hallway stairs in his home and it's doing extremely well on its own. The story of this amazing experiment began in 1960, On Easter Sunday, when
1 year.
David decided that it would be fun to start a bottle garden. Since they
1 year after I was born. Imagine that. And that garden's still going on. But in any case,
were a bit of a craze back then, he wanted to see for himself what the fuss was all about. So out of idle curiosity, he got himself a 10-gallon globular bottle, poured some compost at the bottom and used a piece of wire to carefully lower a seedling in. Then he put in just about a quarter of a pint of water, and believe it or not, he only watered the plant once more in 1972. Never again after that. It has been alive and kicking for the past 54 years. The plant that David placed in the bottle is an indoor variety or perennial spiderworts that also go by the Latin name of Tradescantia. The bottle itself is tightly sealed. David only needs to rotate it around often so it grows evenly towards the light. Otherwise, it's the definition of low maintenance, he said. I've never pruned it, it just seems to have grown to the limits of the bottle. So what makes the spiderwort so special that it can grow with almost no outside help? The secret is really pretty simple. The plant has been extremely successful at creating its own mini ecosystem. Using the little water that David gave the plant 42 years ago, it has managed to get a water cycle going inside the bottle. The water is taken up by the roots, released into the air through transpiration, condenses down into the potting mixture, and the cycle repeats itself. Through the glass, the leaves are able to absorb as much light as they need to photosynthesize into energy that helps the plant grow. The oxygen created during photosynthesis also puts enough moisture in the air for it to rain back down on the plant. As the leaves age, they drop to the bottom and rot, helping to create carbon dioxide, also needed for photosynthesis, and nutrients that are absorbed by the roots. At night, when there is no sunlight, the plant breaks down nutrients and uses cellular respiration to stay alive. The bottle has lived for 27 years in the same spot in David's retirement home in Cranley, Surrey. He took a photograph of it to a BBC radio show called Gardener's Question Time, to check with the experts if the plant was of any horticultural interest. And that's when it gained the media's attention. According to garden designer and television presenter Chris Beardshaw, it's a great example of the way in which a plant is able to recycle. It's the perfect cycle of life. Beardshaw pointed out that this process was one of the reasons for NASA's interest in taking plants into space. Plants operate as very good scrubbers, taking out pollutants in the air, so that a space station can effectively become self-sustaining. This is a great example of just how pioneering plants are and how they will persist given the opportunity, he said. But not everyone is enthusiastic about bottle gardens. Like organic gardener Bob Flowerdew, who said, "It's wonderful but not for me, thanks. I can't see the point. I can't smell it, I can't eat it." David has no choice but to agree with Bob. David did say that the bottle is incredibly dull and doesn't really do anything, but he's still excited to see just how long it will last. He hopes to pass it on to his future generations, and if they aren't interested, to the Royal Horticultural Society. David's bottle garden is essentially one of the best examples of nature's recycling process. And the wonderful part is that it should work with almost any plant, not just spiderworts. All you need to create your own is a large glass container with a wide neck and some good quality potting compost, deep enough for the plant to sink in its roots. Introduce very few tiny specimens of the plant of your choice, move them into position with kitchen tongs, water them ever so lightly, seal the jar, and place it in a well-lit spot. That's about it. You've got yourself a beautiful bottle garden that will thrive for years to come.
all right. Okay, so that gives you an idea, that it's an environment. Imagine, for more than 40, and he never waters it, and it can sustain itself. So, and that's the simple thing of the enclosed environment, and he's just using something that's already exists out there. and you can see the resilient of God's garden, right? It's a resilient garden. Imagine that something that can work on its own for more than 40 years, doing everything, So now, I'm going to finish by reading Psalm 19 for you, okay? Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, I'll read it from the other one. And let me see here. Yeah, from this one here. Yeah, I'll take off. Yeah, just the King James here like that. Okay. So, the law of the Lord is perfect. So, here is a picture in which what happens in the scriptures is that David was able to see the setup that was in creation, how everything was set up in creation was a reflection of what the word was inside of him, or what the soul inside of him was with the word. Because remember, the soul is fluid and identifies with the knowledge that he has acquired. So it can be attached to as many things that it understands. So whatever is your specialty, that's what it's attached to. That's why in this society, your Dabarium, the order of words that you have received, you have to examine them. Because if you're attached to something in the retarded garden, you're going to be suffering. Because the retarded garden needs the assistance of mankind. Because it's retarded. It's not resilient like the original garden. So that's why we learn the words of our Maker. And everything is taken care of. But here he says interesting here. And let me see if I find something. Okay. Psalm 19 verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. His elaborate work that he assembles. That's a handiwork there. The firmament, the rakia, the little shield that's on top of the enclosed thing. And I'm going to see if I can find something I wanted to share with you here. If I have it. Yeah, this is what I want also. And this is here. Werner von Braun. I don't know. Some of you might know who that is, but this is the guy that came from Germany and opened up the NASA program here into the United States. He was taken over there from Hitler's Germany, and he came here, and he was hired here to start the program for NASA here. All right? And in his tombstone, he writes this verse, Psalm 19:1. I don't know if it was a confession that he was making, but that's the verse that says that there's a firmament there. There's this hard shield that's enclosed environment. Because a lot of these people, at the end and the grave, that's when they don't want to tell the truth for confession. But this is in the tombstone. That's what he has. The guy from NASA. This is the director from NASA. Psalm 19:1. This verse that I just read you. But in any case, let me finish it here. But let's look for a little while. It says, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament, the rakia, showeth his handiwork. Day unto day utter speech, and light and night unto night showeth knowledge. Is speaking, is saying something, is communicating. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. And the word voice is the sound, okay? Sound is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from one end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it. And there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. Okay, and that's part of stuff there. And he starts now applying that scenario to the law of the Lord, the Torah. The law is Torah. The teachings orderly regulating all humanity, Torah. The law of the Lord is perfect. It's a one complete environment, a perfect, integral environment. That's the whole idea, is complete, converting the soul. But one thing I wanted to bring attention in verse 3, it says, there's no speech, no language where there's sound, because it's in Hebrew the sound, the vibrations. So what runs the universe is vibrations and sound, frequencies. We call it frequencies now. That's why I was showing you how with frequencies you can generate light in a vacuum, and you can generate light in a water. So light can be generated in all environments with the right sound. That sound is a language, the right frequency that understand how to communicate with all the materials. Okay, so all these things is in the scriptures, So it's showing you a lot of stuff in here right now in enclosed environment of the firmament. But in verse 7, and now he said, the law of the Torah of the Lord is perfect, it's complete, wholesome, it's very integral, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandments of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold. Yes, they are to be desired more than gold, because the gold is the standard, right, for the retarded market, for the retarded garden. But for us, the word of our Maker is our standard. The Ehad. I will explain that next Wednesday about the Deuteronomy 6:4, about the one, God being one. So more to be desired are they than gold, than much fine gold, sweeter also than the honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward. And indeed there is great reward, because you get the greatest understanding. And then it says, who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou me from secret faults. Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. Let this dabarim of my soul, be in line with your word, because then it's integrity, then it's complete and it's whole, and it connects with everything. So that will find that he finds different areas. A garden, he finds the sheepfold, like in the 23rd Psalm, and you can see that he connects everything to what the word, just like the sun, is going out into all of creation, not to derive or suck any light out of anything, but just to give his light to everything, because everything belongs to it for it to shine over everything. That's how it is with us. When we have the word of our Maker, that's our life to reveal his character. So everywhere that we go is just open for us as an expansion, as a canvas for us to express who he is. The attitude of completeness, that nothing is needed. Whatever you can get from me, that's just, I rejoice that you can get something from me, because what I know of him is overabundance that never ends, So this is the rejoicing that you can experience when you understand that and you're in your Maker all the time. Okay, let me get this into some. Okay, so that's all what I'm going to share for tonight, and let me get back here. So I appreciate your time. I know it took a long time, but I think it was worth it to share. Let me get out of here. All right, close this one. All right. Okay. Oh yeah, one more here. There we go. And close this one too. And then I'm gonna get to. Oh yeah, let me get there. All right, so I think I'm in the last production. So thank you for your attention, and thank you for being involved. Remember, I will be getting in touch with you guys. That is, those people I mentioned have contributed this time. I appreciate your contributions, and I thank you for your time. And let me get out of this live production and end live here. Let's see. All right, so get that.